Shalom to you, dear brothers and sisters. We're continuing our teaching. We're going to turn to Isaiah chapter 2. And we're going to read there again about the centrality of Jerusalem, of Yeshua's reigning as king over all nations there. Isaiah chapter 2. I'm going to read from verses 1 to 4. The word which Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Now it will come about in the last days, the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as the chief of the mountains, and it will be raised above the hills, and all the nations will stream to it. And many peoples will come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us according to his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For the law will go forth from Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he will judge between the nations, and will render decisions for many peoples, and they will hammer their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not lift up sword against nation, and never again will they learn war. What a beautiful prophecy that God has given us. In the last days, the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as chief of the mountains. This is a mountain that doesn't exist today. The topography of Israel will change. We spoke in the end about it, that all of these stars falling on the earth and the earthquakes, all these islands that will disappear, and mountains that will appear, and there will be a mountain in Israel that will become the largest mountain in the world. It says, the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as chief of the mountains. You know, Jerusalem isn't situated on a high mountain. The Mount of Olives to the east is actually higher. It is a new mountain. And all the nations will come to it. Also those who remain, who will be entering into the 1,000-year kingdom, they will flow into Jerusalem like a river. There will be convoys of people going up to the mountain of the Lord. Many peoples will go. They will come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. You see, God will be in this mountain of the Lord. There will be no more anti-Semitism. The people will recognize that God, the creator of the heaven and earth, he is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he may teach us according to his ways, and we walk in his paths. No more teaching evolution in the schools and all of those anti-God theories, but rather they will learn the word of God, how to live, how to behave, and we want to walk in your paths. For the law will go forth from Zion. You know, when it talks about law in Hebrew, it's teaching. The teaching of God will go forth from Zion. The word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Jerusalem will be a center of all the nations, spiritually and governmentally. And concerning governmentally, we see he will judge the nations. Yeshua will be the King of Kings. He will have the authority to judge them, and render decisions for many people. And they will hammer their swords into plowshares and their spears to pruning hooks. No more wars. No more atomic bombs. No more armies. No more wasting of resources to produce weapons and jets and all these ships and things, just purpose of destroying people. No more of those things will be needed. But rather we use them to live and to do good and to build and to improve things. Only when Yeshua will come. Yeshua, one of his names is the Prince of Peace. Only when he will come, then there will be peace. The peace that everyone wants and they speak about, but they don't want to get it through God's way. Only when Yeshua comes will there really be peace. Look in Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 and 7. We have a list here of names of Yeshua. I want to read. For a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us. Yeshua was born as a baby. and the government will be resting on his shoulders. He will be the King of Kings. And here's the list of his names that he will have. And his name will be called Wonderful. Yeshua did many wonders and miracles. Counselor, all the knowledge. Mighty God. Yeshua is God, mighty God. The eternal Father, eternal. Prince of Peace. These are part of the one that we're pointing at this time, the Prince of Peace. We want peace, and so we need this Prince of Peace. Today, when the Prince of Peace is in our hearts, he gives us an eternal peace, a peace with our Father, peace between us, peace in home, in the family, between parents and children, peace. But the time will come when Yeshua will reign, and there will be peace over the whole world. And he will sit on the throne of his David and over his kingdom to establish and uphold it with justice and righteousness from then on and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will accomplish this. So the zeal of the Lord of hosts, who raised up the people of Israel, and he brought us and raised up this land against all odds, against every obstacle that was in our way. And then also, he will bring the Messiah, the Son of David, Yeshua, and he will reign here. So we saw Jerusalem as a spiritual center. In Zechariah, chapter 8, Zechariah 8, we want to read verses 20 to 22. Thus says the Lord of hosts, it will yet be, the peoples will come, even the inhabitants of many cities. The inhabitants of one will go to another, saying, let us go at once to entreat the favor of the Lord and seek the Lord of hosts. I will also go. So many peoples and mighty nations will come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem and will entreat the favor of the Lord. So how wonderful. Many peoples, residents of cities, they will come, gather together, and say, let's go up to Jerusalem. There will be no more, let's go vote in the UN and condemn Israel and say to take Jerusalem and make it an international city or a Palestinian capital. That will be no more. But let's go up so we can worship the Lord, the King of hosts, and learn from him, and to bring our gifts to him. And we also have another place in Zechariah, chapter 14, verses 16 through 19. It speaks about the Gentiles coming up to Jerusalem at the Feast of Tabernacles. The Feast of Tabernacles is a holiday that will remember the raising up of God's kingdom here on this earth. The day of his establishing this kingdom. This is also the holiday. There were the 3 pilgrimage festivals. This is the third one, when people would go up to Jerusalem. And here, this is the holiday that will be used by all the nations to go up to Jerusalem. I want to read 16 till 19. Then it will come about that any who are left of all the nations that went up against Jerusalem, in the context we have to remember, all the world will come against Jerusalem, and it's those who were left after that, those same survivors from the war. And all that are left of the nations that went up to Jerusalem, they will go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to celebrate the Feast of Booths. To worship, it says here, before the Lord. This is one of the places where Yeshua is described by the Lord, the term the Lord, the holy name of God. And it will be that whichever of the families of the earth does not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, there will be no rain on them. This will be an immediate punishment. If you don't go up to the Feast of Tabernacles to worship the Lord, they don't want to, they'll be in rebellion, maybe they have all kinds of reasons, but if they will not go up, then they will have no rain. They will have a drought and a famine. And if the family of Egypt does not go up either to enter, the rain will not fall on them. It will be a plague with which the Lord smites the nations who do not go to celebrate the Feast of Booths. So if the Egyptians won't go up, from what I understand, God has a different punishment for them. Why? Because Egypt maybe is not dependent on rain. Throughout history, it's depended on the Nile River for its water. Maybe that's why it's talking here about Egypt maybe receiving a different kind of punishment if they don't go up to celebrate the feast on the mountain of the Lord. So these are the verses I wanted to share with you today. How many wonderful things are waiting for us for eternity. We can rejoice over this and give thanks to God and be encouraged and be ready for where we are and trust in these wonderful promises of God. May God bless you. Shalom.